I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Mr. Behrens.
Here.
Mr. Christensen. Mr. Popa.
Here.
Mr. Walter.
Here.
So we do have a quorum. We'll proceed. Approval of agenda. I would like to make an addition to the agenda. I'd like to make an addition to the agenda. I move that I make an addition to the agenda simply to report on 2 follow-ups from the last meeting that I ordered myself to do, and I did. So I'll give you that. We'll start with number 1, follow-up.
What is it? We had a vote on it. What are the items?
Just giving you an update on cameras for the waste containers. I have more feedback from Centerville Township on their removal. Seems like it was one more.
So 6?
Oh,
Are you putting these at 6?
no, I was putting it at number 1, just get it over with. I'm just gonna give you a quick report, a follow-up.
So in front of number 1.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's approval of minutes. It's gotta go to 1B or something.
Just make it 1, 2.
All right.
Do we have a second?
I don't know what the other one is. One is update on cameras, and what's the other one?
The Wayfair signs.
That's correct.
The what?
It was the ortho photo for the Wayfair wayfinding signage. So just 2 quick updates on that. We'll make it number 2. Adjust the others down from there.
I second it.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Public comment. We'll move on to approval of minutes. I'll move to approve the minutes. I read them. Didn't find anything missing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So I talked with Trudy about cameras to watch over our 3 waste disposal sites. Some of the discussion was you better count on 5,000 apiece per camera. I asked her about simply removing, Veronica, removing the trash containers altogether. She put me on to Katrina Flava, who is, I think she's the clerk at Centerville Township. Treasurer, okay. We had a long conversation yesterday. They eliminated at one of their township parks all trash containers. She thought it was 5 years ago. And they've been very happy with that. Have had, to her knowledge, 1 incident of somebody leaving a sealed bag of trash on the ground. But no particular problems that she knows of. She said she's heard no complaints. She said heard no discussion from her colleagues of any public saying to them, hey, you gotta have trash baskets, or well, come there aren't trash baskets. She said she took none of that. And that they didn't have a litter problem. That's their experience. So I hadn't thought about a motion, but I'm certainly talking with her, finding the cost of any sort of surveillance. I'm of a mind to try just eliminating. John? Scott?
I pulled the cans out of old cellars a couple of years ago. It's constant trash pickup, constant. I gotta go through there every day. That's just as saying. I mean, there's stuff everywhere, excuse me.
I did ask Katrina if they had, at the time of removal, put up any kind of signs saying, hey, we don't provide trash baskets. You all have to remove all of your own trash.
I did that as well.
And it made no difference,
No,
obviously.
signs, people don't read. Don't care. Yeah, it's constant. I mean, they dump stuff along Veronica Valley. There was a
Yeah.
mattress laying there alongside the road.
Yeah.
It's constant. They dumped the dumpster there.
So Katrina did point out there's some, I didn't ask which park it is in their township park. She said there's a house pretty much straight across the road. Maybe that makes a difference.
No, it's probably the one at the end of Honky Road.
Okay. John?
One, I would never approve $5,000 for a camera. We don't have any gain for that. I know signs help with a big camera up there. You know, say no dumping, you're on a picture, because that works around cabins and deer lines. And that's the police number one recommendation, is that you put signs up for any security place. I've checked Veronica Valley now all summer, which is the most I've ever checked. And those trash cans, sometimes there's only 10 inches in each one. It doesn't need two. So if we wanted to eliminate it down to one, I would put it there. More trash cans invites more trash. And I've turned in.
That's very true.
And I've turned in some people for doing it. I'm in favor in Veronica Valley of eliminating them and then see what happens. And if it does, because there's no harm in stopping it for 1 year. You might have a different problem at Old Settlers because all the rich people along there are lazy. And they do, they come and they go on Sunday and they just dump the stuff. They don't want it around their house if they don't have Monday pickup.
Right, well, and Scott's told his story of confronting people who, well, I'm a taxpayer here. I ought to be able to do this, instead of paying for their own trash.
So on Veronica Valley, one, we don't want cameras, and two, get rid of the dumpsters and just try it for a couple of years. I don't think people are gonna big bags of trash and put it down there. And if there are, I'm still in favor of putting a sign saying absolutely no trash, and you're on a camera. And I can get old deer cameras that don't work.
We have cameras here.
Yeah, just put them there. We'll make a sign, a post, absolutely no trash dumping.
Just run a wire down the pole into the ground.
Yeah,
It looks like-
and just see, but this summer there was hardly any trash at Veronica, but we hammered a couple people. That one has a lot of traffic that circulated in there and they stop and eat their sandwiches and stuff, and not that many people.
I found one,
I pulled the ones back on Eagle Valley. That was just a dumping ground.
Yeah.
It was too
Yeah.
secluded.
Yeah.
yeah, I've only found one piece of litter, an empty worm carton.
Yeah, I see a lot of that.
Yeah.
And most people take their stuff home. Now Bingham Park down there by the lake, those get filled up by lazy people along the shoreline. Too, right along their exit where they leave. Veronica Valley doesn't have neighbors on each side.
Well, if the impact is that we still get it, then it really falls on Scott to be picking it up. So what do you think, Scott?
We'll see.
I'm against all of them, but
Pulling them both?
maybe one, leave one.
Okay.
You say-
Pull them both and see what happens and put one back. But I don't know if we gotta take it to the
You know,
committee. I
yeah.
think that's Scott's.
You got a lot of dog walkers out there and they
Yep.
use some plastic
Put
bags.
their poop in there.
And then I'm gonna be picking up poop constantly.
Yeah,
Bags all
that's-
over.
Scott's in charge of litter and stuff, and let him make the choice. We don't have to vote on it and talk about it at our meetings. If he wants to go to one dumpster, it's his choice.
Yeah, I agree with that.
He's running it. He knows when to mow lawns, and I'm not gonna tell him to
You
do that
said,
either.
you said there are old cameras that the county owns that are just sitting around.
Yeah, that's like the parking lot cameras we've replaced.
You know where there's old ones?
Probably can find.
They work.
Even one. I mean, one in Veronica and try it.
Yeah.
What kind of sign do we have? Do we need a fancy sign or just laminated paper?
No, you can get a fancy sign, they're cheap to. You're on
Get a
video
post
surveillance
plastic.
or whatever.
John, do you know where to get a sign made?
Yes.
Yeah, we buy signs all the time.
Yeah.
If you can do it, I know, I do all my printing, all my drawing at Travis Repo when they make signs.
Yeah, Travis Repo's a real good one.
And I got, when I was working on the signs for the walkways, I got different prices for different quality signs.
Do it.
Okay.
Okay.
We got money.
We're gonna do that.
We got a little bit of money this year, so.
Signs can be $10.
No.
They can also go under one item, line item or another.
I'll help you put the sign up if you want me to. All right.
Follow up on the wayfinding signage. Can't get that straight. Rob Hanson said, oh, you gotta talk to Trudy. Trudy essentially wasn't sure yet. So that's really put off until next spring, and we'll package all of Miles, Kimberly, and Veronica's. We will have that whole package put together off this new photo and handle that next spring.
You know when they're gonna make the photos?
Well, that could be any time. When I say next spring, I meant in terms of target to have them actually out.
Yes,
But the photo may be coming in, maybe it has since I talked to her a week ago.
I was hoping that it would come when the leaves are on the tree because Veronica Valley makes a big difference visually.
Well, see, I think the picture's been taken.
Oh, okay.
It's a
good.
matter of getting it from whoever we get it from, processed correctly.
Okay, okay, good. Well, at least it's been taken.
Yeah, yeah, it was taken. So that's where we're at on that. Parking lot design, culvert replacement, review, update. First, the two of you got together out there. and
Yeah,
it's,
that's good. I appreciate
identifying
that.
the
It
critical.
hasn't changed very much from what we all agreed upon.
But the two of you came to an agreement on the center line?
Well,
Can you guys put your microphones in front of you?
Oh, sure.
sure. So everybody's got a little packet?
Yep.
So we're following the county guidelines. And number two, at this time, we're assuming it's a gravel parking lot. And there's no parking lines. So that affects how you design it. And at $40,000 behind it, if you look at the back last sheet, it says like 58,000 something. That was paving that whole 114 by 220 space.
Just make sure.
Yeah, that'd be bad, that'd be goofy. Okay, the next thing is, I did 3 drawings. We don't have to follow any of them. They're kind of a variation. But I need your input as to how many parking spaces. I went and talked to Scott. Scott said, well, I've never seen any more than 10 cars out there. So I want your input as to where I should start. Let me back up. I was concerned about where this culvert was, and we didn't have a parking lot. And so John and I went out there, and basically the center of the drive is approximately 45 feet. As I can remember John kind of saying, as well, let's put it about here, is 45. So I felt better that that where he had picked it would fit about whatever parking lot we decide. So So anyway, so.
What are those stakes? Did you put those in?
The what?
Stakes?
Not yet.
It's staked.
Well, there's stakes because they might do it next week. And I think there's Miss Dig has to get called and Miss Dig has to know where to go.
Oh, okay.
So they're gonna say, go to this red stake and then flag it all the way to this stake. So they probably staked it. Which gets into that next subject, the culvert may get put in at the end of this month, yeah.
So, I mean, I'm not even looking at the
John.
drawings, I kind of want your input.
John.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
Pull it up there, there you go. Thank you.
So your basic question is how big, how many parking spaces?
Yeah, how many parking spaces? I want your input into it. I got Scott's. And I ended up showing, well, part of it was to get enough space so you can get a bus turnaround. And that ends up giving you more parking. And also, we have an opportunity to do an overflow parking on grass if you want to do that. And part of it is how much parking lot does Scott need to plow?
Well, your drawing number A is kind of what Scott and you and I,
Hey, wait a second, Scott, wait a second, John, I just want to know the number, independent of the drawing,
the number of what?
Get it
number of
right.
cars.
Just make it that long and that wide, and sometimes there's a lot of cars, sometimes there's nothing.
Yeah, we were up at Lake Michigan, picking stones. Are you guys in a meeting?
Yeah, this is Parks and Rec, it started earlier. No, this is Veronica's.
Did they-
So-
Well, so the 23 parking spaces in A.
Okay, probably at that, it shows probably some, and in the parking lot itself, does it show any offs?
Yes, it shows others.
Okay,
Well, let's see, that's existing lines of gravel.
Well, here's a couple things. One, it's not gonna get done next year. There's nothing in the budget for it next year.
okay,
If we do anything, we come up with a design and get, let me say, a quote. And then with that quote, it gets put in the budget in October, and if it's 40,000, then we live with it, and then the next year we go out for bids. So by 12 months from now, we gotta know what we want it to look like. If we wanna pave it. I could flip either way.
Yeah, that was
And
gonna
I think
ask.
Scott could too. I mean, yes, it would be nice if it was paved and he can plow this, but if we got a nice gravel parking lot, it's my thoughts. If I got $40,000, I'd put it someplace else right now.
Well, I think the reality is we're not gonna get it paved very soon, but do we wanna get the new size and all, and that, and gravel? Do we wanna get that done as
And we might,
our current priority?
and when the county is done with their culvert here in a few weeks, they're gonna lift that sign out. We gotta put that sign in place. We'll then see where we wanna put curbs, because we got money for curbs next year. That'll get all staked out with nice curbs and pavement up to there. Then you decide, do you wanna go any further or just leave it as it is? If you wanna limit the plowing and limit that and limit the size of where people park, we can do that too and make more lawn or more picnic spots. But
It doesn't matter.
it doesn't. It's a big lot. I don't know if you plow the whole thing in
Yeah,
one.
I do. It's a pain in the butt. It's very hard to plow that lot.
Yeah,
It's gravel.
and we might make it smaller. We decide we only want 10 or 15 parking spots. And we'll decide that next year. We put it in and see what we think our quote will come.
It's a nightmare for me.
Yeah,
I want it paved and smaller.
yeah,
I'm
paved
not
and
gonna
small.
bury that opinion.
Yeah,
yeah,
But,
when I went
you
and
know.
talked to Scott and his boss, this year, he said, hold out, get it and paid, otherwise it won't ever get paid.
and
Maybe we don't even need to talk about that.
making it smaller and reasonable. They can always drive off of it to turn a school bus around or something. And if there's not more than 10 cars in there and stuff, and we think that this is right after we put the culvert in, we'll put in money by next summer and say, what would it take to pave this? And go from there.
Scott, did I hear you there saying plowing the gravel surface is itself difficult?
Yes.
Apart from size?
Well,
Yeah, it gets rutted and then it just beats the truck up, beats the driver up, beats the plow up, pushes gravel all over, and then in the spring, I gotta drag it all back into the parking lot. And it's just a pain in the butt.
cause and this and that, whatever.
I would,
So you might just scale
It's
it.
muddy,
down.
it's icy, it's everything. It's just terrible.
I wouldn't think we'd want to plan for school buses to
School
go up.
buses come in there a lot, they just gotta turn around.
Yeah, so it seems to me, besides your question, John, how many parking spaces planned for, but the whole school bus turnaround space
Absolutely.
is going to dictate certain things.
Pardon, yeah.
I mean, this drawing here that's a B,
Mhm.
you're showing 18 parking spaces there, plus the big turnaround for buses at the corner, which I think is good. I've only seen, most I've ever seen is 8 cars there. So it seems to me something around 17, 18 spaces is adequate.
Right.
Now,
The way B is drawn, everybody's gonna park in a bus.
I was just gonna say this,
You know, that's,
Yeah, we talked about that.
and the one before that, Scott, even more so, because you're gonna have to put,
Right?
that's the one I'm most concerned about, because there's nothing that, unless you put signs all over the place on that one, it's the simplest, but I think it's could be the most frustrating. The first one. The third one ends up,
Is there another meeting after us?
they're gonna try to squeeze one in, yeah,
At what time?
2:30.
he said to me,
Well, I booked us until 2:30. This whole request to change and everything came to me yesterday.
Yeah.
Well, I think we need to wait, we get that culvert in, and then we visit this again, if we're gonna put money in, but we got 12 months to decide what we wanna put in the bus.
But, okay, then I just want to be clear on that. We are not, and you would have a better sense of this timing possibilities. But we're not talking about a new layout of the parking lot and gravel surface next year. We're talking about getting the final plan for paving put together and presented in the following budget, okay? Then I think you're right. Let's see how the culvert. Oh, John, you said this was a question. You mentioned the curbing and whatever also necessary to culvert. We voted on spending that this year. Do we have that in this year's budget? That's all.
No, we have curbing in 2022. They gave us, I think, 15 or 20 grand.
Okay,
So next spring we'll go out for bids, or go out for bids in February.
yeah.
So this way a guy can squeeze it in his schedule.
Do we have any issues along the edge of this new entry between now and then?
There might be, depends what they find down there.
If there's money in next year's budget, we should be going out with bids as soon as possible,
You bet,
like
right
tomorrow.
away. Yep, have them ready.
Yeah.
I want to see how these curbs look, and then we'll draw up the standard, or I want to see how this culvert looks, and then we'll draw up the standard one here for the road commission, and I think we narrowed it by a couple feet, and we'll go out for bids right away. These are, everybody knows how to do it.
Don't wait for February.
No.
Because that's why we're in the boat we're in right now, going, oh, we got all this money, what are we gonna do?
Get it out right away.
No, that's neither here nor there.
So I had another guy look at it, he gave me, what would that cost? He came right in what I said it was gonna be, I'm not gonna say it here. But,
So,
I feel good about
good. And I just, to be clear, we're then gonna see how the culvert replacement goes in the next week or the end of this month,
Yep,
and proceed with this exact same planning and discussion after that. Okay. Fishing access walkway review update.
there's not much there to operate, the whole thing is done, the grass is coming up really fine, right, Scott? I went down there and got rid of chunks of sod right away, and just parking there, you'd be surprised how people get out of the car and they walk right down there right away. They just get out and they walk there first.
I didn't know they were going to do that access walkway up to the parking lot. I think that's
We didn't
good.
either, but
Oh,
we
that's-
just leave it.
Excellent. Excellent.
We needed it to get in and out of there.
So the grass, I haven't seen it now in 2 weeks. I was worried about the grass, but it started raining.
It's coming up fine with all this heat.
Well, and we had enough water finally.
Yep. And so there's no more work to do, there's no rework that came in, and I took a lot of pictures and I'm happy with it.
Any thoughts, Scott? Anything you want to say?
It looks good. I'm worried about the edges. No,
Yeah, we'll just have to see.
yeah.
In that the stability of the underwater wooden wall.
Yeah. Hopefully we get the ditch scooped out too when they do the culvert, at least to where the drain is.
I mentioned it to them, but it wouldn't hurt to go rag on them when they're down there. That should be at road commission expense.
Is our drain still open?
Yeah, or be flooded. But it's
They'll have an excavator and dump trucks there, and that'll be that time.
Oh, yeah. They did that for us, what, 2 years ago?
yes.
Hey, Scott, you got any ideas how we should have done those timbers going around? You know, that was your concern, where those were gonna hold with 6x8s?
Well, I think they're good.
Oh, okay. Well, I wonder, you know, I don't
They
know.
seem real stable.
Yeah, I thought
See
they-
after a freeze thaw.
The freeze, ice can move a lot, or something. Yeah, but I didn't know how else, because I didn't know what the material was 2 feet down.
So you're talking about the curve with the rim?
Yeah, that 4 foot.
Yeah.
Reinforcing rod going down. So I don't know.
What's your question?
My question is, did we do the right thing? Did we do enough to try to hold the 6x8s? We probably won't know until next spring.
Or whether they're gonna hold for the next, they don't have much pressure against it. They put real long lengths in and they went into all the sand and mud that was behind those six, it wasn't mud that he had behind, but it was wet sand. Bill filled that all in with sand up against those cedar logs and they drove these down right into that. But it's wet sand, I mean gravel. But they're in there pretty good. I kicked them and moved them and whatever.
Yeah, I tried to kick it around, but
We'll see.
we'll see.
Okay.
We'll see what ice does.
It's better than it was.
Yeah, you're happy with it, John? Oh,
Oh,
I
I
mean, you've
am.
been talking about this for some time.
Oh,
so-
that's to the point where that's it. I brought it back again. Anyway, it's there and it looks gorgeous. You should go look at it.
I did. The day the pictures came out, I went and looked.
Did you? Yeah.
Okay, moving on to number 5 here, prairie update. I talked with Heather Rollins at the Fish and Wildlife. In our original agreement with her, and that's one question I never did get, I never asked her, I didn't get straight. We may have to go through another landowner agreement approval from the Board of Commissioners, but I'll look ahead on that. That'd be something next spring. We had to do that with the first prairie plan. But all along, we talked about a phase 2. She said essentially, yeah, we're very interested in partnering on a phase 2 of planting some more prairie, if that's what you want to do. And that basically means they cover the cost of the seed. last time we used the county seeding machine. I think we may have paid some labor to the guy who drove it, because he came in from Fish and Wildlife, and he was their contractor. And he was very experienced at putting down the seed. In any case, it's doing well.
It's nice.
It's doing well in terms of the grass. Now, just in the last couple of weeks, I've been learning more about prairie, and I'm wondering, and this is all for next spring, so this is just an update on where we stand. Basically, I did talk with Fish and Wildlife, and there's gonna be possibilities of additional work next year. But Heather said, we want wildflowers. Well, one of the problems I'm finding and I've been learning about is the blue stem grass that we planted is so competitive that nothing else is, knapweed hasn't had any chance against it. Everything else that was in there that came along in that first full year is gone because blue stem is that competitive. So while Fish and Wildlife at their expense did the end of that second year, and they planted a lot of forbs, the prairie wildflower seeds in amongst the grasses. They haven't come along at all, because they just can't compete with.
Are you all done?
Almost.
We're recording.
So we're gonna do, we can do more. I've always wanted to extend the first strip of prairie, that extend it, will come right down to the pond in a nice tongue-shaped finish to that. But maybe that'll be, we'll think of some other mix of wildflowers and grasses. But in any case, Fish and Wildlife is interested in that possibility.
Great. Really, I like that. The prairie dog is trouble.
But, no, she's not here. Chet wasn't here. So, I just said.
Anyway, continue there, so that we're done.
Yeah, well, I'm done with the prairie part, just at a talk about Fish and Wildlife. Now,
What's
are we clear? Next year, we can expect roughly to have 15,000 again to spend on things. Are we clear? What our priorities are, at Veronica specifically? We may, I have no idea, we didn't get into a spraying expense this year, because we didn't need to spray the ponds. Yes, we may need to do some of that next year. Is there a weed raiser coming?
Yes, they did.
Good.
I didn't put them together.
I want to go out and try it. What other expenses are we aware of that we know we're going to have
For next year,
for next year?
for Veronica,
Yeah,
well, we know we're gonna be putting the curb in,
Right. That's what it is.
and I think that was everything we approved.
That's what, 15?
We're in that neighborhood.
so that'll, potentially, that's going to eat up what we can look ahead at.
Yeah, between that and, kids, that's gonna be a pretty big chunk.
And if we had to get into spraying again, although there are other options there, because we did so well the first time. But if we have to, that's another $2,500. So we may just not be able to. Well,
That prints one at a time.
if the curbing alone is around 15,000, then we don't need any more discussion right at this moment. I just wanted clarity in my head, what are we thinking about for big expenditures next year? Fish and curbing is gonna, finishing the entryway. It's gonna eat it up. Okay, that's all I have. Anything you want to add? No public comment, board member comment. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So, Casey, come.
Second.
All in favor?
I hope so.
Aye.
I don't know.
He's not good.
Neither do I.
No, where else?
Walter moved for adjournment, Popa second,
We'll
it
wait
passed.
until
It's
bring it
Ron,
off.
it was Ron. And he had to
I
clear
told
it
him a few
before he put it
I
on.
wanted to talk to Steve a bit about,
He had to clear it.
because he had talked about
We had to make sure
miles
it
in
was
the parking lot,
Oh.
or the miles in the building. You had to go with that.
So you put it in
I
the
wanted
air
to see
machine.
you
with my computer.
And I tried to print, I was
Oh.
trying one at a time.
I got a wait, that's too.
You